My name is Shannon Arimura. I am the Volunteer Generation Fund Program Officer for Nevada Volunteers. If you are joining us today and you've been here lots of times before, welcome back. It's awesome to see you. I have not actually presented for one of our lunch and learns in such a long time that it feels like literally forever. I've had mostly guest speakers on, so I'm excited to be with you today, presenting on volunteer recognition. Although the main topic that we're going to go over today is our volunteer recognition programs that Nevada Volunteer has. We are going to go over first just a few best practices. If everybody could just mute themselves to make sure you're muted as we are talking, but please feel free to come off of mute and ask any questions while I'm presenting. And this is recorded, and the links are in here for everything that I'm going to talk about today. So we will actually send out the recording to you afterwards so that you don't have to worry about trying to jot down notes or anything like that. Okay, so we're going to talk real quick about volunteer recognition best practices. And the first thing is to make recognition a priority within your organization. And recognition directly results in higher volunteer retention. So it's really important that you're paying attention to recognition for your volunteers. And really what that means is making it a priority within your organization means to have a designated person who works with your volunteers and who is in charge of volunteer recognition, a volunteer recognition plan in place, which is a written plan that says we are going to have this recognition at these times throughout the year so that you are making sure that it is consistent. And then also it needs to be within your volunteer recognition budget. So your organizational budget should always include the recognition that you're going to do for the year. Otherwise, you find yourself scrambling at the end of the year to have a budget or bring in money or to find things for free. I've been there a million times, but the goal is to make sure you're ready for it at the beginning of each year. Recognize often. Recognition of volunteers should happen on a year-round, frequent, and informal basis that just begins with saying thank you often. You don't want to wait too long to recognize people. Recognize in different ways. So, sometimes you might have informal thank you. Sometimes it might be a treat. Sometimes it might be a formal event. But try to make sure that you're recognizing in different ways. The reason for that is your volunteers will resonate with different forms of recognition. Make sure that you're understanding what form they appreciate. Some people do not like public attention. So inviting them to a great big dinner where they are being recognized and they have to stand up in front of a group, they may not actually appreciate that and or feel recognized. They might actually feel punished in that incident. Be sincere. Make sure that when you're recognizing your volunteer that there's actually like something meaningful there for you to reflect on, and that you really value what they give to your organization. I have seen people who are very flowery and sugary sweet, and they thank people, which is great, but they have a tendency to kind of overthink and it becomes somewhat disingenuous. So just be careful there. Recognize the person and not the work. So I think the way that we phrase our thank yous and the way we value the work of the volunteer is really important. So we want to make sure that we are recognizing the person like you did a great job instead of this is a great job. Instead of looking at a report and saying, wow, this report is beautiful, saying you worked really hard. This looks amazing. You did a great job. Make it appropriate to the achievement. So paper certificates with thank yous are great for, people who may have done one-time service or have only been there for a few months. But then for maybe 10 years or 15 years of service, you're looking at something a little more robust, like a dinner or an engraved plaque or something that shows your appreciation for long-time dedication. You want to be consistent, so make sure that whatever standards of recognition you have established are consistently maintained. That's where that recognition plan comes into place. Holding a recognition dinner, like example for you to give out your recognition for the year, and it's basically the same time every year, is really helpful because you have volunteers who want to know what to expect. So most of our volunteers volunteer because they are rooted in the mission. They are attached to it in some way, shape, or form. They've experienced it. They know somebody who has. So not to say that volunteers are coming looking for recognition, because a lot of them are absolutely not. But you also have your type A volunteers and your very competitive volunteers who, once they get into the work and they see, oh, there was a recognition or a plaque given out for volunteer of the year, and I want that to be me. So they are going to work really hard to achieve that goal, not because they don't care about the mission. They're putting extra effort in for the mission. It's because they want that reward. But if you don't have that consistently within your program every year, those volunteers tend to get really frustrated when they think, oh, it's my turn to shine, and you've done away with that. And so it isn't there anymore to be recognizing that person. And so we see a lot of our type A and very competitive volunteers have a tendency to fall off at that point when recognition is not consistent. Be timely. Although most people do some sort of one event per year where they recognize their volunteers, which is great. You want to make sure that the recognition is attached to actually what they did. It can't be a whole year later. So at least a card or a piece of paper that says, hey, we value you. Thank you for what you've done. You will be recognized at this time, so that they know that it's coming and you've still said thank you for what it is that they have accomplished. Also try to make it unique. Your volunteers all have very different interests and ways that they like to be recognized. This is my soapbox. Every time I volunteer, I think I get a new coffee cup every single time that I volunteer with somebody. And I don't know why that's the go-to. I feel like, sometimes it's a little less expensive and you buy them in bulk. And so that's just what you do. I don't drink coffee. I don't drink tea. I rarely even drink hot chocolate. So those mugs for me are like, they're sitting in the back of a cabinet collecting dust that it's totally not necessary, and you've spent money on it, and there's just a lot of other ways that I would like to be thanked. And I get that for a one-time volunteer, you're not going to know all the ways in which they like to be thanked, but your regular volunteers, you should be getting to know and understand their interests and things that they like in life, and that will help you with making their volunteer recognition unique and feeling special. So I'm going to go into the programs, unless anybody has any questions about anything I've gone over so far. I'm going to go ahead and go into the programs, which is the main reason why we're here. Okay, so we have 3 different programs that we're going to go over today. They are the Governor's Volunteer Recognition Certificate, the President's Volunteer Service Award, and the Stars of Nevada Governor's Points of Light Awards. So we're going to start off with the Governor's Volunteer Recognition Certificate. This is something that is free, that is offered by Nevada volunteers, as we are the Governor's Commission on Service. So we serve the governor in that capacity. And so we are able to get recognition certificates signed by the governor for your volunteers. They do need to be ordered 4 weeks in advance because we have to make sure that all the information you have submitted is correct. And then we print out the certificates, and then they get sent to the governor's office for signature, and then they have to come back, and then they have to get to you. So it's a lot of back and forth with the certificates, and 4 weeks gives us usually enough time to get those to you in time for your recognition. Many orgs in the state use this as a form of recognition for Volunteer Appreciation Week. We do have our commissioners at Nevada Volunteers that can present these awards should you like for them to come and present. They usually just get up, talk about, you know, how important volunteers are to the impact across our state, and they thank them for their service, and then they hand them their awards and give them a handshake. So it's just something a little more formal. I don't know how your volunteers feel, but the volunteers that I worked with all the time, every day, and so I was nobody special. So for me to hand them awards is one thing, but when you have someone higher up in an organization or representing the governor's office, then it has a little more impact, and people really like that. So that is something that you can request. We also have that pin that is pictured there. If you would like to purchase the pin for your nominees or awardees, those are $5 a piece, and you can place that order when you apply for the certificates. One thing I do not have on here that I forgot about is that if you are going to be requesting a really large number of certificates, like we have some organizations that go in and request 40 to 50 at one time. It kind of covers all of their volunteers who meet the criteria. We don't expect you to follow the link and go in and fill out a line for every single one. You can send that in a Excel spreadsheet, so that we do have to have all of the names, and we do have to have the reason that they're being honored. But that's just something to keep in mind, that if you're going to do this, that we don't expect you to go in and fill out 100 different lines to get all the certificates that you need. If you have 10 or less, we would like you to go in and fill it out. If you have more than that, we can work with you on getting an Excel spreadsheet through the email. So the criteria for these certificates, it has to be an individual that has performed over 200 hours of service. And this is in a calendar year, but it's 12-month period. So it's, it could be January to December. It could be, February to January, whatever that 12-month looks like, is what we're looking for in those 200 hours. The individual has provided a skilled or pro bono service that qualifies for, it would have cost $10,000 or more. So those services need to be valued at $10,000. An individual that's demonstrated reliability or commitment for a period of 2 or more years. So this is not just like a volunteer that has come back for 2 years, that comes every now and then. It's a person that is there all the time and has basically increased your capacity within your organization. So we're not looking for somebody who's sporadic for 2 years. It has to be a very committed position, and that they're there almost daily. An individual has taken on a significant leadership role that results in a new or enhanced program or innovative way of meeting organizational needs. So if you have a volunteer who decided to come up with a program on their own, and they are chairing that program and essentially running it, that is a good example of that. We have had individuals who have went from a regular volunteer role into a board role, and then in their leadership of the board brought on new programs, new funding, things like that. So that's really what that's all about. And then we also added for youth volunteers 18 years or younger, they have to have performed 100 hours of service in that 1 year period. So we actually do know that we have a lot of students that qualify for this, but we very rarely see people applying for youth for this award. And so we did invite schools today so that they would be aware that this is available, and we're hoping to get that out to schools so that they know, so that students are aware that they're available to earn this award. Was there any questions, sorry, on the governor's certificate before I move forward? Okay. Then I will move on to the President's Volunteer Service Awards. So clarification, this is not our program. The President's Volunteer Service Award is an initiative of AmeriCorps, and it's administered by the Points of Light, which recognizes vital roles volunteer plays in enhancing America's strength and national identity. Nevada Volunteers is a certifying organization for this award. So we can certify and send in for the awards if your organization is not certified. And the last time I went through my training, I was told that there was maybe 2 certifying organizations in the state of Nevada. So not very many that can help to get this award for your organization and your amazing volunteers. So the eligibility for this is that they must be a United States citizen or a lawful permanent resident. They must be at least 5 years old, and they must complete eligible service within a 12-month period. So that's the eligibility. What constitutes as eligible service? Unpaid acts of volunteer service benefiting others is essentially the simple way of putting it. So paid service does not count. So national service members like in Peace Corps and AmeriCorps who receive a stipend, they are not eligible, but they are eligible for the lifetime award level. So if they have what it takes to get the Lifetime Achievement Award, they can apply for that. Travel stipends, transit parking passes, membership passes, expense reimbursements, all those things listed there that are, they're nominal. It's not paying your volunteer, that none of that impacts eligibility. And so one thing I do want to point out is that absolutely corporate volunteer programs can apply for this if they have outstanding employee volunteers. However, that volunteerism cannot be paid. So I know that we do have some that pay their employees to go out and volunteer and do good in the community, which is great. They just can't be included for this award. So eligible service does not include donating funds, political lobbying, although nonpartisan voter registration is an eligible activity, religious instruction, conducting worship service, proselytizing, I knew I was going to trip over that, court-ordered community service, or serving only your family members. So those things do not count as far as eligibility towards this award. And here are your hours that are required to earn the awards. You'll see that it goes from kids age 5 to 10 all the way to adults. There is a bronze, silver, and gold level. And then there's the Lifetime Achievement Award. So I don't know, how many volunteers or how many organizations are keeping track of, over the entire span of the volunteer's lifetime with the organization. But this is a really good reason why you should be doing that. So if you don't have a database that keeps track of your volunteer hours and you're doing it by hand or on Excel spreadsheet, that's going to make it really, really hard to qualify these hours, and you'll have to go back in a million different reports and things. But these things do have to be all qualified. You have to sign that the volunteer hit those hours, and you have to turn them into us in order for us to be able to get the award for you. I would love to see a kid 5 to 10 years old get an award, by the way. I just think that would be awesome. Okay, so then the bronze, silver, and gold packages include a customized certificate, choice of pin, coin, or medallion, and a congratulatory letter from the president. So these are not free. You do have to pay for the package, and the pricing does change. So this is the current pricing, but it has gone up twice just since we became a certifying organization. So if you're getting the certificate only, it's $625. The certificate and pin is 10, certificate and coin is 1175, and the certificate and medallion is 1225. And if you're wondering, like, if you want to submit for these awards and you want to see the different type of awards, I can get you pictures. You can also look up PBSA, and it's all on there with the pictures of all the things that can be ordered. You just can't order them unless you're a certifying organization. If you are applying for someone for the Lifetime Achievement Award, this includes enlarged certificate and a congratulatory letter. So these packages are listed down here. And then the optional add-on is the portfolio that you see in the picture there for them to be able to keep their certificate nice. And that does have an additional cost to that. So things to know, the award must be applied for by an organization who has served. So it can't be the individual or a student who goes in and applies for their own award. They can't do that. Someone else has to do that. The award can be a combination of all hours for the year from different organizations, provided hours have been logged and properly provided. So if you have a volunteer who has volunteered with you and they did 75 hours with you, but you know they did like another 25 to 50 hours in another organization, and you guys would like to be able to combine your hours so that they get a higher level award, you can absolutely do that. You will just need to kind of get together on that because you'll need to provide all of the logged hours. So a student who might participate in National Honor Society or student council or something, and they're doing all their volunteer hours, and that's been written down. But then you know that they volunteer at their church as well. As long as you guys can get together on the hours, then and one of you can apply for the award, that's fine. The honoree cannot be asked to pay for the award in any way or be requested to make a donation to offset the cost of the award. So this is a really big deal. Honorees cannot be asked to pay for it. You can't ask them to donate and sort of guilt trip them into, oh, well, this will offset, what we're paying for your award. That's not how recognition works. And the other problem that they have had is that they've had potential honorees, people who have actually earned it, but have gone to their organization and said, hey, I have earned this. I'm aware of this award. I would like for you to apply for it on my behalf, and I will pay for the awards. So you can't do that. Just don't do that. Honorees must have their proof of citizenship that is required with their log of hours, and their citizenship it's citizenship, not residency. So it's important that you don't get those two things confused. So a driver's license is not going to work here. So it is birth certificate, I believe Social Security card and or a green card has to be proof of citizenship. And we have those uploaded to a secure file on ShareFile so that no one else can get access to those things. Everything's encrypted and stuff. So nobody has to worry about people getting a hold of their proof of citizenship to utilize it for nefarious reasons. The awards can take up to 4 weeks to come in once ordered. Sometimes they take a little longer. This is really important for you to know, because I don't want you to plan a recognition event and then not give us enough time to get your awards in. And then you're standing there at your recognition event empty-handed. And then another thing to know is that the program often runs out of stock of certain items. So you want to be prepared mentally to switch. So the popular thing around among my high school students is the medallion on the, it's the medal, and they want to wear it to their high school graduations. More often than not, when I have gone in there, that is out of stock. It seems to be the most popular form that everybody likes. And so you should be prepared if you've only given yourself enough time that you will have to switch over, and or you can go back and say, for now, just send me the certificate and we can try to order the medal later. So just something to keep in mind. Any questions about the President's Award before I move on to stars? Okay, this is going to be a really quick lunch and learn if we don't have any questions. Okay, so Stars of Nevada Governor's Points of Light Awards. So what is Stars of Nevada? It is the highest honor bestowed by the Governor of Nevada and Nevada volunteers for outstanding volunteerism and service. There are 10 different categories for nominations for the awards. The individual volunteer, youth volunteer, lifetime achievement is for people who have served 20 plus years in the state of Nevada. So all of that service has to take place in the state of Nevada. Nonprofit organizations volunteer programs. So it's not just the organization, it is their volunteer program, how they utilize volunteers to build capacity and create bigger impacts within our communities. A corporate volunteer program. So, anytime they go out and volunteer within the community, do great things, anything other than donate money. Community leadership, this one often throws people, so I wanted to take just a bit of time to explain it. So these awards, we are celebrating I think our 23rd anniversary this year of these awards. They are statewide, and this category was added because we had some people who didn't necessarily seem to fall into any of the other categories. So we have things like the Moose, the Elks, Rotary, the fraternal organizations, but they do a lot of great things out in our communities, and they don't really fall into any of the categories. Church-based groups. We've had some family groups that have been like an entire family that goes out and volunteers as a family, and there really wasn't anywhere to put them either. Every now and then we will get somebody who volunteers for many different organizations. And so they're really leading in the community, with service. And so their impact is great because it's multiplied by all the different ways that they volunteer. And also they're usually somebody who is encouraging others to get involved and volunteer. So those types of individuals will fit in there. So then collegiate community leadership was added because we realized that our college students kind of felt like they didn't fit anywhere in there, that they were leading volunteerism and service on their campuses. What they did obviously impacts their communities as a whole, but they wanted to be recognized in a campus way. And so this category is for individual students who might be very much leading things on their campus. They're, running their student organization board or whatever it might be. This can be groups. So any kind of org, whether it's Panhellenic or not, could be included in that. We know that fraternities and sororities often have local and national charities or causes that they volunteer for, and so they might fit. We actually had a nomination nomination for the athletics department overall at one of our colleges. And that is because they are required, all of the students are required to go out and do volunteer work. And they usually do it together as a group. And apparently on that campus, they are known for volunteering well above and beyond any other organization on campus. And so that was an amazing nomination. National service members is, our AmeriCorps, our seniors that are in our RSVP and our senior AmeriCorps programs and things like that. That's those people. I do want to talk about the military, veterans, and first responders. So first of all, we've had military and veterans before. It tends to confuse people a little bit. The service is not for the service that they had within the military. What it is people who are veterans who had served in the military and now serve their community in volunteer roles. And then also for active military, we have active military groups that go out and volunteer in addition to being active military. So it's not their service to the country, but the reason why we have this category is because these people did serve our country and now they're continuing to serve our country in this role. And we felt that that was enough reason to elevate and bring them out into their own category. Last year, we did add first responders. We had a lot of people who asked us, they have volunteers who work at their organizations, and they felt that they were, went right along with serving our country and the things that they do. Now, the difference with first responders is it could be their first responder duties that they do as a volunteer that can be nominated for this award. So I know this makes this a little bit confusing, but we have firefighters who are totally volunteer. They don't get paid at all. So that in of itself is a volunteer role. And so they can be nominated for that. But we also had last year, we had, I think it was a firefighter who was nominated because of their work also at another nonprofit. And they really appreciate the fact that they volunteer in their first responder role and then come out and volunteer in other ways. So that one has a lot of different ways that you can nominate people. And then volunteer manager. And that one is there because we understand the impact of an amazing volunteer manager on an organization and how they can completely make or break a volunteer program. And so we felt it was really important that they be recognized as well. So other things to know is that there's no self-nominations. If you nominate yourself, then your nomination is essentially thrown out. We go back to the person and say, hey, you can't do that. Do you have anybody that could possibly nominate you? Nominations must be for Nevada residents or organizations based in Nevada. So these are completely Nevada-based awards. The service for which the nominee is being recognized must have taken place in Nevada. So it cannot be a Nevada organization that recruits people and they go to Mexico to do volunteer work and the volunteer work takes place in Mexico. That cannot happen. Or it can't even be another state. It has to be in the state of Nevada. Individuals receiving a stipend or salary, with the exception for national service members and volunteer managers, are not eligible. So we realize that our national service members get a stipend and volunteer managers are more often than not paid. We do have some that, are volunteer, but every other category is you're not eligible if you are paid. So some other things is that you may submit as many nominations as you like. So if you are a nonprofit and you have a great volunteer program and you want to nominate your own volunteer program, but you have an outstanding volunteer who's been there for forever and does great things, or you have a volunteer of the year that you want to nominate, you can nominate an individual. You can also nominate a youth volunteer that you might have. If you have a corporate volunteer program that comes to your organization and makes all the difference in the world in what you do, and you want to nominate them for their category, you can absolutely do that. So it's limitless as to the number of nominations that you can make. And the reason why I would say to do that is because you may not always have a winner, but we are going to touch base with those nominees with a personal phone call to congratulate them on their nomination, and talk about how amazing they are. They're going to get to see what you have said about them. It is a really big honor, and so a lot of people are just really appreciative of being nominated, even if they don't go on to be a finalist. Nominations for the same person for by multiple nominators does not carry any extra weight. So please don't go, okay, we want our volunteer to win, so we're going to have every single person on our staff submit a nomination, because that's not how it works. So what we do with that is we take all those nominations and we combine all the words, and then that's what's presented to the judges, because it is not a popularity contest. And so, we want to make sure that everybody has the same opportunity. So multiples don't make any difference. And nominees are notified the first or second week of June that they have been nominated. Please, 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 when you are filling out the form, do not use your email and your contact information and phone number. We need their information. We come across this so often, and the work it takes for us to be able to get the corrected information to reach out, and it's way too much extra work for us. And then the other problem is we have nominees who don't even know, they don't know that they were nominated ever, and then they'll see their name on our website or on our social media, and they write us and they're, what are you talking about? So it's really important that we get the nominees' actual information when you fill out a form. And then finalists are notified in August. So one of the things I did forget to put is that once these nominations are received, they all go to a panel of judges. Our judges are they're selected from all across the state. So there is someone from Northern Nevada, someone from Southern Nevada, and someone from a rural area in Nevada, at least those three. Sometimes we have 4 or 5 judges on a different category, but there's at least 3. They are, there's no bias. They're asked to recuse themselves should they have anything to do with any of the organizations that are within their category for judging, the organizations and or the person. So that's how that works. If you're interested in being a judge, let me know. We're always looking for some, but you won't be judging your own nominations if you would like to judge, just so you know. And then I just put some pictures here for everybody to see. Last year we were at Caesars at the Paris. It was a really beautiful event. And even though our kickoff is not, or our launch for nominations is March 1st, nominations are open now, and they're open until May 31st. We just have year-round open nominations. But we will have a larger launch and be bugging people more about submitting nominations on March 1st. Any questions about STARS so far? A very quiet group. Okay, so I do have opportunities for any of you who might be interested in partnering up with us. We love to have guest speakers for our Lunch and Learn sessions. The topic is just anything volunteer management. So if you have a specialization or something that you feel particularly passionate about for volunteer management, then we would love to hear from you on that. And then our upcoming Lunch and Learn sessions, oh my goodness, this just keeps kicking me out. Our upcoming Lunch and Learn sessions is our Nevada Volunteers Pathway Project. So that's Thursday, February 20th. You're going to learn about the resources that we have through Nevada Volunteers in partnership with AmeriCorps to give you necessary tools and funding to help you reach your goals. They're going to go over AmeriCorps State and National, AmeriCorps Vista, AmeriCorps NCCC, and AmeriCorps Volunteer Generation Fund. the Volunteer Generation Fund is what ensures that we can have these lovely lunch and learns and provide people with resources for volunteerism. And then we are having a special in-person volunteer recognition in Pahrump on Friday, February 28th. We are going to be going to the NYE space, which is a maker space at NYE Communities Coalition. And we're going to learn about our local maker space and how you can utilize the space and tools to create some amazing yet affordable volunteer recognition pieces. So that way, you know, budgets are low for recognition, and I get that, but you can still make things that are really nice and really impactful by using a local makerspace. So my goal is to try to get to makerspaces throughout the state this year, but we're starting with Pahrump. If you're not from Pahrump and you'd like to come out, you're more than welcome. You can bring your lunch, and we're going to make some fun stuff. So there's that, and we will have the registration links for those soon. If you don't get our newsletter yet, signing up for our newsletter would be great, because you're going to get notified of all of these. They'll have the links. All of our recognition is always in our newsletter with the links. Chloe, if you can post in the chat the link to sign up for our newsletter, that would be awesome. And then that way anyone who isn't signed up can get the information in a timely manner. Whoops. Every time I get a comment, it kicks me out. Okay. So I did not use all of these sources in this presentation, but these are amazing sources for best practices for volunteer recognition and appreciation. One of these links is what I used for, you know, going over best practices. NevadaVolunteers.org is our website. These are all the links for the governor's certificates, for the President's Award, and for Stars of Nevada, so that you can utilize those. Thank you, Chloe, for sticking all those links in there. You will also get this recording so that you have all of this handy. And then that's it. I am going to stop sharing and then open it up for any other questions that we might have. Maybe I'll stop sharing. Oh, there we go. I love when it does weird things. Okay, so does anybody have questions? I saw that Chloe was kind of going through and answering some. Yeah, Stars in Nevada, we do not have the date set yet. We are waiting for confirmation from Caesars again. We hope to be at the Paris again, but it's usually a Thursday afternoon in October. So the event is from 3 to 5 p.m. and the reception is at 2, so from 2 to 3, where we have all the food and the mingling and everything and pictures, and then the awards start at 3. Thank you for the compliment on the makerspace. I'm pretty excited. I live in Pahrump, just so you guys know, and you know, our makerspace is pretty new here, and we went in and learned how to do some things. And for the Stars of Nevada, we have goodie bags that we give to all the finalists. And the makerspace here made this puzzle that talked about volunteers being the, you know, the piece that holds us together or whatever. I don't know. It was very meaningful. It was very cute, and it cost like $1 to make. And so I don't think people understand the vastness of what can be accomplished at a makerspace. So I'm really excited about it. Any other questions that anyone has about any of the things that I've gone over today? Okay, wow. Well, this was a shorter lunch and learn, but I really appreciate all of you for being here. I hope that you got something out of this today. Please be on the lookout for our upcoming lunch and learns. And Chloe will be sending out the link to this recording. Thank you so much, guys.